Hi everyone! Okay, we're going to finish off chapter 2, okay? So the last bit we got up to was about when Johnny had just been to see the Countess's performance, and he is absolutely ecstatic at this point. He said it was the best night of his life, and the last sentence said, "I never heard anything so wonderful," I said, and I meant it. She stopped playing and beckoned me over to the piano. She reached up and brushed the hair from my forehead. "You go now, Johnny Trot, it is very late." The next day, Mr. Freddy and all the others on the servants' corridor teased me mercilessly. "Who's a laddie-da-da lad, then?" they called after me. "Laddie-da!" Whatever they said, I didn't mind. I was on cloud 9. During our walk in the park that morning, I told Caspar all about my night at the opera, how everyone there had taken the Countess to their hearts, how she would be the talk of London, that he should be very proud of her. When no one was around, I even whistled him a snatch of a tune I had remembered, but this did not seem to impress him at all. When we came back through the front door half an hour later, I was expecting more of the same banter, more ribbing. I was even looking forward to it, but as I came through the lobby, I noticed everyone was behaving very strangely. That they were averting their eyes, obviously not wanting to talk to me. I thought at first they must be angry with me. Mr. Freddy came over to me then and took me gently to one side to offer me some advice. I thought something he often did when I'd done something wrong. "Best get this over with, Johnny," he began. "It's the Countess. She was knocked down an hour or so ago just outside in the street. An omnibus it was. They say she walked straight out in front of it. Couldn't have seen it coming. We was all very fond of her, you most of all. Almost like a mother she was to you, wasn't she? I'm sorry, Johnny. She was a good lady, a fine lady, and a kind one too." Okay, and that's the end of that chapter. So, a very sad ending to chapter 2 there. So what we're going to do for our task today is we're going to create what's called an emotions graph, okay? So we looked at graphs in maths, okay? So graphs always look a little something like this, with your x-axis and your y-axis, okay? Now, in English, we can do something called an emotions graph, okay? So this emotions graph is about the emotions of Johnny Trot, okay? So down the side here, I've written emotions. And down the bottom here, I've written storyline, okay? Now the emotion at the bottom is devastated. And the emotion at the top is elated, which means ridiculously happy, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to plot Johnny Trot's emotions throughout this chapter, okay? So, we're going to start at the beginning. Now, you're going to do this, so I don't want to do too much of it. So if devastated is at the bottom and elated is at the top, what do you think is going to be around the middle? That's going to be just feeling normal, isn't it? Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to plot Johnny Trot's emotions from the start of chapter 2 to the end of chapter 2, okay? Now, obviously, those last 2 pages, his emotions change completely, okay? So we might see something along the lines of him going from normal here to when Caspar starts to like him, he goes up, and then he stays steady for a little bit. And then when he goes to the Countess's performance, he is feeling absolutely elated. And then he goes on his walk with Caspar and he's feeling great. And then he comes back and he feels devastated. So the graph graph might look a little something like this. Now, that's just how I see it. You might see it a completely different way, okay? So you do your graph the way that you see how Johnny's emotions would have been during this chapter, okay? Now, then the next part we have to do is we have to label each part of the graph. So when we say he started feeling normal, here on our graph, we have to write what was happening. So that's the storyline bit, okay? So he was feeling okay when he was first getting to know Casper, okay? Then we might label our next bit here, which was when Casper started to like him and he stroked him on the head. And Casper smiled at him, yeah? And then you need to label the rest of your graph, okay? I don't want to do too much, so I'm just showing you what you're going to do, okay? So, I want you to do this, whether you do it on a Google Doc, whether you do it on a piece of paper. If you do it on a Google Doc, you might want to write the information underneath. Do it on a piece of paper, draw it out, and take a picture and submit it on Google Classroom, okay? I look forward to seeing it. Bye.